Alright, so in this video, I'll demonstrate how easy it is to create a few ground targets and assign those targets to specific types of objects using the scripts provided in this package. So right now, we have our basic scene with a main camera, a directional light, and a 500 by 500 terrain that I created. So first, to get started, let's make some ground targets. To do that, you go up to Game Object, select Game Native, Ground Targets, and Create. So we need to give our target a name, but first let's put this in a folder. Let's call that folder Targets. And we'll name our first one Hostile. Now you'll notice inside of that folder that we just created, we now have a prefab called Hostile. And we can drag that into our scene and pull it up a little bit, and we'll see our target. Now if we get a little closer to this target and we expand that parent node, you'll notice that there's 4 projectors beneath that parent object. Now you don't have to have all 4 of these. You can take a few of them and turn them off. And for this demo, I'll turn off 3 and 4. That leaves us with 1 and 2. You can also remove those completely. So now for projector 1, that's our inner circle here. Let's change that to something a little bit different. And I'm going to bring this over to the side here so we have a better view as we change it. So you see that we can click through a few of these and it updates in the scene. So let's pick, now this is a hostile enemy. Let's pick the star right here. Let's change that color to red. And let's make it a little bit smaller. And let's say that we want that one to pulse. And we want it to go between, this right here is our maximum. So let's say we want it to go from between there and our minimum value. Let's set that to here. So now it's going to pulse between the minimum value and the maximum value as it loops through at a given speed of, let's do 0.2. Now we can also come into here and color blend. So again, we have another speed that we can assign. Let's give this one, let's just say 1. No, let's do 0.5. And let's add a few colors. So let's have it go between red, orange, and we'll have it go to yellow before it goes back to red. Alright, so now the outer ring is the green one here. Let's change that color to a bright orange, orangish red. And let's change the texture on that one as well. Let's use 10, now let's use 5C. Let's scale that a little bit. And let's have this, and we can also rotate this manually to set a static position for that rotation. You can also come in here and turn on auto rotation and set a speed to have that rotate when it starts. Alright, so we'll call this is our hostile shader. So let's go ahead and come back here. Go to Game Object, Apply Changes to Prefab, and let's just hit play real quick to see what that looks like. Alright, so you can see the inside's pulsing, changing colors, and the outside is spinning. Now you will also notice that once it reached the maximum size, it stopped. And let me show you why. So if we come back onto projector 2, I'm sorry, projector 1, where we selected pulse, we didn't check loop. If we check loop, come back and hit apply, changes to prefab. This step is only necessary if you want to reuse this prefab. Otherwise, that change that I made would have been perfectly fine. But we are going to reuse this prefab, so I went ahead and applied that. So now you'll see that since we set it to loop, once it reaches the maximum size that we set in that slider, it goes ahead and it shrinks back down to that minimum size, and this will repeat indefinitely. Alright, great. Alright, so now let's make our friendly target. So same as before, Game Object, Game Native, Ground Targets, Create, select Targets, name this Friendly, and we can drag that into the scene. And just like before, that we did in hostile, we disabled 3 and 4. This time, let's just go ahead and disable 4. We're going to work with 1, 2, and 3. We'll start by changing the outside. And let's say we want our friendly target to have this. The middle ring we'll set to... let's do a hex. Let's go ahead and scale that down a little bit. Actually, let's make that the outside ring. And then projector 3, let's do cloud. I like that one. Alright, so you'll see that we have some overlap here, but it's not a big deal, and we can just come in here and change some sizes around to make these fit exactly how we want them. We'll bring that inside of this. We'll make that a little bigger. And there we have a friendly target. It's not the best friendly target, but it's the one we'll use for this demo. So now we'll go ahead and say apply changes to prefab. And now that we have both of these prefabs created, we're going to go ahead and just delete them from this scene, because we still have them referenced down here, and if we were to bring them back in, they're exactly how we left them. So now let's make the object which we can click to switch between these targets. Now, you could simply assign one of these to a player character right under the parent element of that character and not have to do anything else. But let's say you wanted to switch between a hostile or a friendly character, even anything. So let's go ahead and make a 3D object. We'll use a capsule. Let's bring that up and into our view here. Put it up on this little bit of a hill. Let's make it a little smaller, just because our scene's not that big. And let's duplicate that. Bring another one over here. Now what's great about this system, and the reason I created it, was I needed to make ground targets for characters, players, objects, and have them map correctly onto uneven surfaces such as terrain or other obstacles like platforms. And this will demonstrate just that. So we'll select this first guy here and say add component. You're going to select game native, ground target system, and this is a target selection. And here we can choose a target type. And for this we're going to choose type 1. Now these types are just a placeholder. You can replace these with your own enumerations. So here, let's take a look. You'll see that we have our target types defined here. These you're free to change, replace them with another existing enumeration that you want to use instead. You just have to update the references anywhere that target type is defined. And it's only in these two scripts, so it's pretty easy to replace those with your own enumerations. Alright, so we have this as type 1. And this guy over here, same process. Game native, ground target system, target selection. We're going to make him type 2. Alright, so we have our target selections, type 1 and type 2. Now we need to add our target selector. So you can add it to main camera, really you can add it anywhere. Game native, ground target system, target selector. It says default target. Default target is what's used in the event that a definition isn't found. You don't have to set it, but it's a good idea just for a failover. But we won't set it for this demo. And also click layers. You can set this to the layers in which you want it to click. You can do everything. You could do nothing, but that would be pointless. It wouldn't work. Or you can choose a specific layer if you only want to click specific objects for this particular target selector. And then we need to make a definition. So we have two types we're going to define. So we'll hit 2, type 1, and the element 1 we'll do type 2. And you'll see both of these are asking for a target prefab. So if we come into our target prefabs, we'll drag friendly to type 1 and hostile to type 2. And we'll go ahead and play. And you notice if we click on this one, we see our friendly target. And if we click on this one over here, we'll see our hostile target with that expanding, color changing ring and rotating outside. And we can click these back and forth